How's it going, Eliminators? Today we're going to be working on an MTD Yard Bug, commonly referred to as a Yardman Beetle. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So today in the shop we are working on a Yardman Beetle. These things are pretty cool, and I just wanted to get this on video because I have never worked on one before, but it came into the shop today for a rear drive idler pulley, and I ended up having a used one that we're going to install and try to get this thing operational again. Not a big repair today, but I basically just wanted to pretty much do a little overview of these things because, like the Craftsman Utility Vehicle that we worked on many years ago and I ended up selling to my neighbor, these things are pretty unique. So like I said, this is a Yardman made by MTD, and the particular name of this is a Beetle. However, when you run the model number to get the owner's manual or the parts diagram, it also is referred to as a Yard Bug. So two different names, I guess, for the same piece of equipment. This thing is pretty cool. You sit on top of the engine. The engine's back here, similar to the Craftsman Utility Vehicle. It has, I believe, a 27-inch deck on it, and that is engaged via this foot pedal right there. You can see there's the blade, and then you raise or lower the deck using that right there. It is a hydrostatic drive, so it has forward or reverse and a neutral option, and then the speed control or throttle pedal is over there. And then that is your brake pedal. So quite a bit of levers going on here. But the cool thing about this is, I guess, just the way that it looks and how they cover it up and I guess make it look like some kind of little beetle or some kind of bug. Now at the back of the mower here, to get access at the engine, you just grab a hold of this and the whole thing just kind of lifts up and out of the way. And then you have access to the engine. It has a Briggs & Stratton 8.5 horsepower, although when I looked at the owner's manual for this, it said 9 horsepower, 27-inch. The model number of the engine is a 197707-0141-E1. So it basically appears to be your standard Briggs L-head engine. It doesn't have overhead valves or anything like that. You got a little battery box here. I can see my customer has just a bungee cord holding that on. And then here is the mower deck. That's normally where the internal bagger goes. So this has a bag that catches all the grass that goes in here. So this is what's referred to as an internal bagger unit. However, my customer just has it set up for side discharge right now. He says that's the way he likes to cut. But it is a very cool unit, how they have this like outer frame going around it, and they have this big open section in the middle there. Like I said, cool unit, and I wanted to film it. Now the reason it came into the shop today though, like I said, the idler pulley needs to be replaced. So the bearing on this one seized, I'm assuming to the bolt, and the pulley, he said, just completely fell off. And the belt, you guys can see, is showing some signs of wear. So in order to save my customer a little bit of money, I won't be replacing that belt at this time. Now, I was able to find an illustrated parts listing for this machine just by going to Google and typing in the model number, which is down here under the seat. So that's going to be a 13A-320-501. And that sticker is starting to peel off, so I could imagine that if someone else had this unit, then that's why I'm including these numbers, just so you guys can pull up a parts listing for the machine itself, as well as the engine if you wanted to. And the machine's part listing is going to look something like this. So we're down here at the drive diagram. You guys can see that in blue, I have the V-belt idler. So it's not going to be the flat pulley that we're looking at. And then in pink, which is really cool on this unit, both belts are the same part number. And that's going to be a recurring trend with MTD products. You can see here number 23 is the V-belt idler pulley, and over here is also the same pulley. So they like to use a lot of these parts multiple times on the same machine, and also the same part on different machines too. So it cuts down on manufacturing costs and makes it easier for me. So coming down here to the part numbers themselves, number 23, again, the V-belt idler is going to be a 756-0116. probably superseded to a 956 because that's how MTD likes to do things now with all of the modern parts. And then if you're looking for the belt, it's going to be number 22 on this particular listing. That part number is going to be a 754-0453, which it lists as a 5L by 36.25. So it's 36.25 inches long, and 5L is 5/8, and that is a V-belt. And my customer said he was just driving and cutting some grass, and he noticed that he lost all drive on this unit. So he stopped and looked on the lawn, and he saw this pulley laying there. So he looked up underneath and saw that this thing just came off. So I'm assuming the bearing seized up and this thing just wore out. Now, as I said, I won't be replacing the belt. However, I would like to note that I would never replace a belt and run a new belt with a used pulley. But like I said, just to get this guy going, I was able to find a used pulley that is identical in my parts storage bin. So we'll be using a used pulley with his used belt. And then what I'll do is I will get a new pulley and a new drive belt on order just so I can have them in stock. And then in the event that the belt or the pulley fails, I can have those parts in my inventory and replace them, or whenever he brings it back in for a service, maybe next year or the year after, then we can replace those parts at that time. Now, to remove the seized bearing from the idler arm itself, we are using my new Milwaukee 90-degree impact with a 9/16 socket. So this is a 3/8 drive, and I ended up putting a 6 amp hour battery. It's an M12, so that works pretty much with all my other M12 batteries, but if you want to max out the potential of these tools, you definitely want to run the biggest M12 battery they make, which I'm pretty sure is the 6 amp hour. It's part of the Milwaukee Fuel series, and it is a brushless motor. The cool thing is it has these 4 different speeds, so you get basically slow, medium, and fast, either removal or installation. But then it also has this cool little mode down here, the 4th mode, which is a removal mode, and it's basically like an auto sensing mode. So when you are removing a nut or a bolt, it'll give you maximum breakaway torque, which is, I believe, 220 foot-pounds for this particular model. And then it auto senses when that nut becomes loose, and it slows down the speed of the tool so that the nut doesn't completely fly off your hardware. That's pretty cool, and I've been using this thing pretty much every day now and absolutely love it. And then to get at that top bolt, if you have to, MTD is also pretty good at doing this, which is giving you a little cutout here, so you can just move this idler bracket to the side here, put a wrench or a socket on that, and then we're just loosening this off right there. And just looking from the underside, I can see that the engagement cable and spring, as well as the return spring, is still attached and functional, because when I manually manipulate this plate, you guys can see the return spring there. It is returning as it should. So this, in theory, should just be a replacement pulley, and this thing is back up and running again. Apart from that, everything else is spinning freely, including the flat idler, which is the black plastic one there. And the belts, they don't seem all that bad. We can see that the lower belt here looks like it's in excellent condition. Now, because I am using used parts, this pulley here, when I removed the bolt, had this part up here that's fixed, and then on the other side, you guys can see it didn't have a piece that came out, so instead it just had this little bushing, I guess you could call it. However, on the one that we removed, all it had on the inner race of the bearing was this part here. So I'm assuming that's just going to be like that. That part poked out and the bottom side didn't have anything. So basically I'm just going to be installing this just like that. And then what I'm doing here is just manually moving the idler pulley back so that I can have access at the bolt through this cutout. Lift the bolt up, slide the pulley in, and get your belt into the groove of the pulley, and then slowly push the bolt down so that it starts to engage in the pulley, and we can tighten the nut up. And then the cool thing about the 4th mode is that if you are installing something, it uses the same auto sensing technology to sense when the bolt or fastener starts to get tight, and what it'll do is cut back the torque. So basically that's really good for just installing things, getting things tight. Obviously there's going to be certain nuts and bolts you're not going to want to crank down with 220 foot-pounds of torque. So using that fourth mode to install them are nice. Normally though, what I like to do is put this into one, tighten stuff up, put it into two, and just give it a quick hit, and then normally they're pretty much tight and they'll never come off. So quick enough repair for this, but my customer said he wanted a little bit of TLC on it, so I got the air filter cover off there. I'll replace the air filter, spark plug, and use the Pella oil extractor to go into the dipstick there and drain out some oil, so I can do a quick oil change on that. Instead of going to the underside and using the drain plug, I'm finding that I use the Pella more and more every single day. It's a really good tool. If you want to check out the video that I did on that, you can click in the top right of your screen. But I'll take this thing for a spin once I get it serviced. You know, it really is nice having boxes upon boxes of Sten's air filters in my shop, because I can just go over to a piece of equipment, see what the model number of the engine is. Like I said, I got all my part numbers based off of that engine model number. Install a brand new air filter, simple as that. I can get this machine out the door today. Now, my customer did say that this unit ran. So on the right of the steering, you have this choke and throttle lever here. And then down here is the key switch. So you would just turn that and the engine should turn over. Again, here is the blade engage. So when you push that down, you want to put your heel down to lock that into place. And then when you want to disengage the blades, you just press on that. So that's a pretty cool system. Again, brake switch here, and then hydrostatic drive speed control pedal there. So foot on the brake. So with the oil hot, oil is draining out easier. Like I said, I'm just going over this thing. Mower deck belt looks to be in excellent condition. Like I said, this is a pretty simple repair today, guys. I'll get this customer back up and operational again so we can get his grass cut. Like I said, I'll get some belts and that pulley on order so that the next time it comes in for service, I'll just swap out that belt and that pulley for brand new parts. So just a nice relaxing day here at the shop. We're not too overly booked, and when you get repairs like this, I got the time to pull out the camera and just film some interesting stuff. And I will be using some 10W40 Castrol GTX. This stuff was on sale. I have been using 10W40 in a lot of riding lawnmower engines, especially the Kawasaki's and the Kohlers, but also on the Briggs & Strattons now. I find that a 40 weight oil, which is your hot end, doesn't burn as much. So if you have like an oil consumption issue where maybe your valve guides are a bit worn, you get a little smoke at startup on some of these older machines, a little bit of thicker oil will help slow that consumption, but it'll never fix the engine. As you guys can see, helps extend engine life for some of these older engines. Well, that's going to be it for today's video, but I wanted to film this because there's not too many videos on these things. They are pretty unique, and I guess rare if you want to call it that, because I certainly have never worked on one before, so I definitely wanted to get this one on video. But with that being said, if you guys enjoyed the video, think about leaving me a thumbs up. You know, it really helps me out. You can click here to subscribe and click over here to watch one of my previous videos. I upload every single week, so be sure to stop on by next week, check channel out for new content, and as always, guys, thanks for watching.